So what does happen when a single professor decides to take on a massive international publisher? Well, we're about to find out. And let me tell you, this is not some dry, boring legal document. No, this is a raw, personal story. It's framed as this huge public cry for justice, and we are going to unpack every single layer of it. Just let that sink in for a second. This is the last line of the entire complaint. It completely reframes everything that comes before it, right? This isn't someone asking for a little help. Nope. This is a demand for what the author believes is a fundamental right. You can just feel the sense that this is coming from someone who has been deeply, deeply wronged.
Okay, so let's get right into the specifics. What are we actually looking at here? It's an official complaint, and it was filed with the Attorney General of California. And you've got this one scientist, one author, going up against a huge European academic publisher. So in this explainer, we're going to walk you through the core claims, the timeline of how this all happened, and what exactly is being demanded.
All right, first things first, let's meet the key players in this story. Because to really understand the weight of this document, you got to know who's filing the complaint, who they're going up against, and, what are the core accusations at the heart of all this.
So here are our two parties. On one side, you've got Professor Mohammed Fayad. He's a scientist, an innovator, and, this is a really important detail, he's representing himself. And on the other side, a big German-based academic publisher, LAP Lambert. So right out of the gate, you can see this classic David versus Goliath, individual versus corporation kind of showdown.
So what is this document, really? I mean, what is it actually about? Well, if you just look at the subject line, you can tell this goes way, way beyond a simple contract issue. It is a formal petition, and it's alleging three massive things: international academic fraud, intellectual piracy, and the one that kind of ties it all together, systemic racial discrimination.
Okay, so out of those three huge claims, there's one that really acts as the trigger for this entire dispute, and that's the accusation of intellectual piracy. And not just any piracy, but piracy on a global scale. This timeline really lays out how things went from bad to worse. So it all starts back in 2019 with what seems like a totally standard publication agreement. Everything seems fine for a few years. But then, sometime in 2022, Professor Fayad discovers something. And that discovery is the catalyst for absolutely everything that follows, leading all the way up to this formal complaint being filed almost 4 years later.
So what does piracy actually mean in this case? Well, the complaint breaks it down into some really specific, concrete allegations. It's claimed his book was translated into 5 different European languages, all without his consent. Then, these stolen versions were sold on huge global platforms like Amazon. And all the while, the price hasn't changed since 2019, and the professor has seen absolutely no money from it. He was basically stripped of all his rights, both moral and financial.
But here's the thing. The complaint doesn't just stop at piracy, not even close. This is where the whole argument takes a really dramatic turn, because it connects that alleged theft of his work to something much, much deeper, something systemic.
And this quote right here, this is a direct quote from the document, and it is the absolute heart of the most serious accusation. See, the author isn't just saying, hey, piracy happened. He's arguing why he believes it happened. The claim is that he was targeted specifically because of his identity as an American scientist of Arab descent, and that this fits into a bigger, uglier pattern where contributions from non-Western scientists are just seen as fair game for looting.
And here's how the professor connects all the dots. He lays out this chain of events. He starts with what he calls persecution at his university, San Jose State. He then argues that his cultural identity was preyed upon, which then led directly to the international intellectual theft by the publisher. So in his mind, these aren't separate incidents at all. They're a sequence. One thing led to the next, which led to the next.
Okay, so after laying out this whole story of persecution, exploitation, and piracy, what's the end goal here? What does he actually want the state of California to do about all this? Well, let's take a look at the specific demands.
And believe me, the demands are just as big as the allegations. First, he's asking for legal protection from the financial fallout, including a stop to any eviction proceedings. Second, he wants a full-blown criminal investigation into what he alleges is a network between the university and the publisher. And third, he wants California to basically act as his advocate on the international stage to help him get his rights and compensation back from the authorities in Germany. Yeah, these are definitely not small requests.
Okay,
And finally, to really grasp the full scope of this, you just have to look at who this complaint was sent to, because this was not just a quiet letter to the Attorney General. Oh no. The CC list itself tells you everything you need to know about the ambition behind this. It was meant to be very, very public.
I mean, just look at this. This complaint was sent practically everywhere. Of course, government officials got the biggest chunk, 40%. But check out who else is on the list. 25% to legal firms, then academia, publishers, human rights agencies, even financial institutions. This wasn't just a complaint, you guys. This was a broadcast message. It was designed to put all of these different systems on notice at the same time.
Yeah, the sheer scale is really the key takeaway here. We're talking over 70 different entities on that CC list. It goes from the governor of California all the way down to local mayors, federal agencies, dozens of law firms. The strategy becomes crystal clear, right? This is not just about filing a complaint. It's about creating a massive public record and making absolutely sure that every single level of power sees it.
And really, that brings us to the big, crucial question at the end of all this. This document, it's so much more than a list of grievances. It is a direct challenge. By weaving together these threads of academic life, corporate publishing, and systemic bias, it asks a really profound question. What does it actually take for one person's voice to be heard, to break through what they see as an entire system that's stacked against them?